It was our old people that put Cape York on the map, and sometimes on the front page. Through courage, intellect and unity, they turned a remote region into one of the nation's most influential reform agendas. And as we've heard, tonight we celebrate 30 years of refusing to give up purely for the love of our people. From the beginning, this was never just tinkering at the edges. It was, and it remains, an attempt to reimagine freedom, opportunity and development for First Nations people. Noel Pearson drew deeply from Amartya Sen and fused it with the wisdom of the old people. Rights must travel with responsibility, and responsibility must be met with structured opportunity. That is how capability is forged. This is the philosophy that guides us and has done for 30 years. Responsibility and opportunity builds capability. When our elders organised and vowed to stand up for our future, a new structure of reform took shape, an impressive series of national firsts. 30 years ago, families in Cape York were not broken, but the systems around them were. Passive welfare had become a mission station. Grog and violence hollowed out community life. Fewer than 6% of our children were finishing high school. Governments kept doing what they do: spray and pray, more programs, more reports, and no results. But they continue to blame us. Our old people drew a line. We will not be managed. We will take responsibility for our future. They taught unity and courage and to confront hard truths, sometimes close to home. That wisdom passed on to the generation in front of us tonight, the reform leaders who took the toughest decisions to put families back on track. That was the beginning of the Cape York welfare reform agenda. In 1999, for the first time in Australian history, a Commonwealth government and a Queensland government united behind an Indigenous-led reform agenda. At its heart, the Family Responsibilities Commission, the Moral and Legal Centre. It was co-designed before co-design had a name. Bipartisan unity at the state and federal levels joined with local authority in an unprecedented act of self-determination. The coalition government under Prime Minister John Howard enacted complementary legislation to Labor Premier Anna Bligh's Queensland government, joining the federal welfare and the state's service delivery system. Former Premier Anna Bligh is with us tonight, and we thank her for her leadership and her bold act of trust. While that unity of state, federal and community leadership held, transformative outcomes had been achieved. School attendance rose, violence fell, families began saving, budgeting and putting away for their children's future. Empower and Student Education Trust helped families turn every dollar into purpose. Cape York welfare reform proved the diagnosis, passive welfare, and the solution was comprehensive family development. Our most radical act was in education. We treated remote schooling not as welfare, but as a discipline grounded in the science of learning. We introduced direct instruction, one of the most tested pedagogies on earth, with precision and faith in our children. We knew the result. Children would learn, and they did. Attendance that had sat at 50% rose to 89% in Cowan and Hopevale. Students once written off became readers, problem solvers and confident learners. Our methods and materials now influence 3,200 schools nationwide. Jarragon College has seen 1,000 graduates from 36 language groups, and the Girl Academy maintains 97% attendance. The Cape York Leaders Program has supported over 625 students through school, university and trades, young doctors, teachers, engineers and lawyers, living proof of high expectations. What began with the WIC people has become one of Australia's most influential, impactful educational reforms. And yet, our own state, remains paralysed, still debating what Cape York proved more than a decade ago. Over 3 decades, we built the architecture of innovation, student education trusts, the scholarship and orbiting model, government champions, negotiating tables, the forerunner of today's joint decision-making, high expectations education, our right to take responsibility, the AB study bypass, alcohol management plans, and a place-based delivery model that rejected fly-in and fly-out. We created Jarwin, seconding top talent from corporate Australia into Indigenous organisations to build capability. And yes, as Danny mentioned, we conceived the idea that became the voice to Parliament, that decisions should be made close to the ground, in dialogue with those who live the consequences. If it comes from Cape York, people know it will be ambitious, maybe contentious, but always courageous. We did all this because the cost of doing nothing is measured in wasted lives. Our next frontier was economic empowerment. Opportunity products like Pride of Place, Home Pride, Bayan and Homelands helped families turn low incomes into real assets, with over $6 million saved collectively. We built enterprises, Bummer Services, with 75% Indigenous workforce, Cape York Employment, where we created 1,400 jobs, and Cape York Enterprises, incubating local businesses. When real work and real ownership are possible, people step up. The deepest lesson of the last 30 years is not just what we achieved, but how. Through leadership and unity, through intellect and culture, through community, corporate, government and philanthropic partners. Our best work has never been done alone. At its heart, this work is about love. Love for the idea that every child born in this continent should have the capability, choice and opportunity to live a life they have reason to value. Our old people spoke it first. Noel Pearson gave it a language to move a nation. When we work together across race, class, geography for our children, we don't just close a gap, we build a better nation for all Australian children.